Okay, well, we've just had the Allight Festival and we've got Tanja Rebel on the island again. And she's popped round with her husband William, who's gone off to the shop. And yes, she doesn't go to the festival, mind. I mean, she'll probably explain to you why. But yeah, they've come round to see me, and so I'm going to let her talk on the 5G aspect of things. And I'm just going to let her fire away, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut. So yeah, if you can tell her, now her name is Tanja Rebel, like I've said, and that's her real name. It's a Swedish come Dutch name, isn't it?
Yeah, Dutch originally.
Which so she hasn't changed her name to Rebel.
No, I don't think I need to. I'm living up to it now, aren't I? I think it was meant to be.
You're a natural rebel anyway, aren't you? But anyway, I'll let you speak and and let people know what's going on.
Yes, thank you, Derek. I was always rebellious by nature, but now we are literally in the 7th hour. It's so important now, so I feel that I've not until the last 5 or 10 years have I really had to walk into the shoes of a real rebel, if you like, because it's so urgent. And you asked about the festival, and I think the reason why I go to the not go to the festival is multifold. Not because it isn't a nice festival. The Isle of Wight is a lovely island. The festival is very loved, but I just don't like all the noise and the lights. We know there's a lot of that going on. God help you if you're epileptic. But above all, nowadays, any festival is full of radiation. I mean, it's gone mad. People all on their mobile phones, and I was recently told that if you go to the festival now, you cannot even pay by cash. It's all cashless.
Yeah, that's it. I'm definitely boycotting it now.
It's crazy.
Definitely.
I mean, where are we going? We are heading into some kind of automated nightmare where people have to pay only if they have a phone. When I came to the island to visit now, I went to the library because I don't have a mobile phone because I try to walk my talk, and there was one laptop that I could use, and that was all very nice, but I couldn't get into my email because they asked for a mobile phone verification. Well, I don't do mobile phones. No. This is discrimination.
It's a nightmare.
It's crazy. So that's what I'm campaigning on mainly now. It started with 5G. Well, it started with LED because the LED lights, which we know are harmful to nature and to us because they wake us up at night. They are harmful for our circadian rhythm. Yes. They're far too intense, even if they wouldn't be too white, and they are far too white, so it's daylight at night, which is crazy. They harm us in every other way. They harm nature, which doesn't have blackout curtains. But I realized when I started campaigning that there was an agenda, because they didn't want to listen to any of the arguments, which are now scientifically verified, for why these lights are crazy. And I know now that they are the precursor of 5G and smart cities, which they want to implement everywhere, and which they're rolling out, as we know, without environment or health impact assessments, without due diligence, and this is against the law. We are part of the UN, I think. Still, we might have left the EU, but the UN has the right to free and informed consent enshrined in the UN law. And even if we don't like the UN, we should still follow this law because it's a common sense. People should not have light pollution or radiation put onto them without their free and informed consent. We're not being informed, we're not giving consent. So that's why the 5G rollout is in effect a criminal act, because it is trespass, it's technological trespass. It goes now into our houses because we're putting in with fiber, we're getting in the wireless into the houses. Fiber in itself might be so-called benign, although I have my doubts.
That's all for 5G.
But then it gives the high speeds in the house. So people are being fried from within and without. The electro-hypersensitive have no leg to stand on. I've been in touch with people who are literally now frightened to leave their house. They cannot go onto a bus. They cannot access any public facility building because they cannot cope with the radiation. They're the canaries in the coal mine, and they are electro-hypersensitive. That means that we are also sensitive, but we might not notice it yet.
No.
We are all electric beings, and these frequencies affect us. They affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, and if you want to go that far, even spiritually. Yeah. And that is a serious issue.
I think, like we are, our biological body is an electrical circuit in itself. Yeah. Isn't it? But it's something like, it's a very low, like something like 6 millivolts or something, isn't it? And when you've got an artificial energy coming across it, and we're talking about thousands of millivolts,
Yeah.
It's definitely causing problems, especially in your brain cells with voltage-gated calcium pathways,
which is an electric circuit.
Yeah, breaks through the blood-brain barrier. Anyway, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And our cells communicate very quietly with a whisper. So it's like the Earth has an electromagnetic field. Few people think about this. We live in an electric universe, but in a harmoniously electric universe.
Well, we've evolved with it, haven't we?
Yes, and we are attuned to this field, the Schumann resonance, some people call it. And when we walk barefoot or when we swim in the sea, we ground ourselves, and this is healthy. And we're connected to the negative ions of the Earth, because the Earth is a negative pole. The ionosphere up in the lower stratosphere is the positive pole, the positive ions, and we are antennae. We are connected to the ionosphere and the Earth, but that's being more cut because we're walking on rubber soles.
Yeah.
The Earth is being polluted and the atmosphere is being polluted with all these frequencies. We're living in, I think Professor
satellites and everything.
Yeah, I'll come to that. But Professor Olle Johansson, or Olle Johansson as he's called in Swedish, he's a Swedish professor and neuroscientist, now retired. Wonderful man. He says that we are all being bombarded by these frequencies, and particularly the pulsation is the bad thing for us, because our cells are not used to this pulse, this jagged figures, and in a sense we have this vertical connection which is being broken because we are disconnected from the Earth, and as I say, we're bombarded by the frequencies, and the satellites are destroying the ionosphere. The satellites are doing huge harm to the electromagnetic field around the Earth, which is essential for all life on Earth and is very fine-tuned. So when we're sending up thousands of satellites for broadband for all, to enable broadband for all, which is mad in itself, we are destroying this. We're not just destroying that, we're destroying the ozone layer and doing huge ecological damage. But people are not even seeing that, and it's breaking our connection. And then we have the pulsation on top of that. And now, recently, I also came to realize, Arthur Furstenberg, who is a scientist and campaigner in the US, who's written the book The Invisible Rainbow, has pointed that out several times, that the low frequencies, very low frequencies, are actually equally, if not at times more dangerous, because they interfere with the whisper in our bodies, because our cells communicate with very low power. Mm-hmm. And if you start doing very low power frequencies, that's what I meant, the power, sorry. I'm not a scientist, but I've had to learn this. Yeah. Then that can interfere just as much. So in effect, what he's saying is there are no safe levels of electrosmog. And by electrosmog, we're talking about wireless radiation. If we're talking wired radiation, which you as an electrician knows, that can also be harmful and dangerous, but at least it's in the wire. And if the wire is well shielded...
They call it dirty electricity, don't they?
Yes, you can get dirty electricity, but if you have good wiring...
Good earthing.
Good earthing. You have a computer connected with Ethernet, so an Ethernet cable to a landline, preferably a copper analog landline.
Exactly what I've got in here,
Then it's safe, or safer, 1,000 times safer than wireless, because wireless radiation goes through our bodies and affects us. The frequencies also affect our minds. We have a lot of talk now about young people using these mobiles becoming depressed and addicted. Yeah. And that's not just the dopamine, it's the frequency.
People say to me, radio waves are not harmful. We talk about microwaves here, which is further on the spectrum. And it's that grey area which scientists have said tens of years ago needs more investigation, and since then there's been a lot more investigation. And like you say, it's proven now that it's dangerous, simple as that.
It is. There's tens of thousands of peer-reviewed studies showing harm. And now we're going into the millimeter waves. And yes, Olle Johansson has done studies, the professor in Sweden, and he has shown even that FM radio was actually harmful in certain ways. But it's nothing compared to what's happening now with the higher and higher frequencies. And 5G, not to mention 6G, which they're trying to prepare for, is taking it to another level. Yeah. It's totally untested, apart from by the military. The Russian military knows exactly.
The Nazis had it, actually.
Well, yes, because there we go to another point, is that it's not just harmful to our health and the environment. The bees and the birds, particularly higher frequencies, the bees are suffering from that. It's a bee killer. And we know that the bees are precious, so even from that perspective. But there is a third point, and that's surveillance. surveillance is really the ultimate goal. Once they have 5G and then 6G implemented with the help of the satellites, which will form a total electronic planetary grid, it will be planet prison.
Yeah.
Because what we have is a planetary electronic prison. You will be able to be apped, tracked, zapped anywhere you go. And this sounds like science fiction, but it's a fact. Because they want everything beaming at each other. Internet of Things. Now they want the Internet of Bodies. I was already told that at the festival some people have chips in their fingers already.
Yeah, the infrastructure is not actually completely rolled out yet either, is it? So we're nowhere near the amount of ubiquitous power that we're going to have everywhere, you know. We're still kind of on half power at the moment. Apart from a lot of the cities which are slowly becoming smart cities, which to me, I would call them giant microwave ovens, you know. I was just up in London for the last couple of weeks, and the EMFs up there now are much higher than they were last year, you know. They're slowly stepping it up.
It's increasing. I measured here on the island now that I've been here, and I went to beautiful Ventnor, which many people will know and love, and there's two masts there next to each other. I don't know why exactly, but the radiation there is off the scale. It really is crazy. And this is what's happening. It's increasing all the time. They're getting people hooked because people think, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I can just go, Alexa, where's my phone? And I don't have to think. I don't have to use my hands anymore. I can just become a total smart zombie.
The BBC, they're giving smart meters away every morning, and you've got a smart meter.
And it's smart speakers.
Smart speaker.
Yeah.
Talk about smart meters, I'm getting next doors.
Yeah.
Radiation from there.
Are you? Yeah.
Because she's got a smart water meter, a smart gas meter and a smart electric meter.
Anytime people say smart, smart is stupid. It makes you stupid for a start. For example, people go somewhere by car, wherever, whatever way of transport, and they can't even read a map anymore. If they're in a car, they have...
I still use it as Ed of London and stuff. I like maps. But
it's good for the brain.
Once or twice when I have my map on me, I said, oh, do you know the way to so-and-so? They say, hang on a minute to get the thing out, get on Google Maps. Oh, you want to be up that way? And they sent me off in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that happens as well, I'm sure. Yes, it's because they're so reliant. And I'm not saying it's not convenient and it's not handy. I can see that, but it's not good for us.
I've also found a lot of people don't even know what they're doing. They don't know whether they're in Bluetooth, data, anything, you know. They haven't got a clue.
Because they're not being informed.
And they're in their cars with these phones and the
Faraday cage in a car, the radiation bounces around.
It's like a microwave oven, isn't it? But same as public transport, you know.
We're microwaving ourselves. We're soon millimeter-mating ourselves. We're microwaving the planet. And if we're concerned, by the way, about heating temperatures, we wouldn't microwave the planet because it's heating in itself. And so we're in the perfect storm. And even if people, because I know people are so addicted, frankly, to these gadgets, and also they are not being told that they're bad. I think they think it's magic. I think they don't even understand that this thing in their hand is actually getting beams from a mast, which then goes to them, and then irradiates their whole surroundings. If I go to a beach and I have my electrosmog meter and the levels are really low, they should be non-measurable really, like they were 20, 30 years ago, and I stand and ground myself in peace, then just one person needs to come onto the beach with their mobile phone, or smart mirror as I call them. I can measure it from 20, 30 meters distance. They are polluting the beach with electrosmog. It is a pollutant. It's acknowledged even by the WHO as a class 2B carcinogen now, and it's far more diseases than cancer that can be caused, by the way.
It exacerbates existing conditions as well, doesn't it? You know?
Of course, I mean heart attacks, strokes, neurological diseases because it affects your nervous system.
Yeah.
It's absolute insanity, and this electrosmog is everywhere now. As I say, people are made prisoners, refugees on their own planet, the electro-hypersensitive. And that's against in this country we have a 2010 Equalities Act and a UK inclusion policy which should guarantee access for all people, regardless of disability. We're breaking all of that. It's like we've become hypnotized. Now, even if we think it's all stupid and you're against progress and we need to move on and let's just follow along and sing a song like the masses do, even if, stand still a moment and think about this thing in your hand. It's not just bad for you, even if you don't believe it. It's the new tobacco. It will take maybe a few years or decades for you to understand that, but it will come, so be aware. But even if you want to be blind to that, because most people are like ostriches, then think about that it's also the ultimate surveillance tool. We are being forced onto smartphones. The other day I took the chain ferry here, a lovely chain ferry from east to west Cowes, or the other way around, you can take both ways. I happened to go that direction, and they wouldn't take cash.
No.
They took only phone or card. Now, what kind of world is this, where you're forced into having a mobile phone? Guess what? They want to be able to track you everywhere you go, and you might not want to believe this, but it's a fact.
It's about control as well.
With the satellites, they will be able to do it soon, even without phones. Because eventually they want you to have the phone inside yourself, or whenever they put the chips, and they already have all these trackers for blood pressure. And then we have the Internet of Bodies, then we get the Internet of the Mind, because they want to connect us to the cloud. This sounds like science fiction, but it's actually happening now, folks.
Well,
we need to wake up and look up what's happening, not stare at our mirrors. And you know what, Derek, I have come to the conclusion that the ultimate goal, and as we know, that's at least being discussed a bit more openly, artificial intelligence, which a lot of people are warning about, and now also singing the praises of, oh, we can save you, can detect breast cancer, blah, blah. Artificial intelligence needs wireless radiation like humans need water. So once wireless is everywhere, the Internet of Things in the bodies, as I say, once everybody's on Wi-Fi, then AI will have full control. We will live in a totally automated Orwellian nightmare. Now this needs to be stopped, and one thing you can do, and I ask everybody to do, is to ditch all wireless. Now I know that's hard, but we need to stand up and walk our talk. Ditch your wireless radiation, wire your connections, have a wired laptop, insist on keeping your landline, and insist on keeping the analog copper landlines, which they're quickly trying to phase out.
Yeah, definitely.
There are petitions for that. I have an I petition, it's I, the letter I, petition, save our analog copper landlines. We have a few thousand signatures, but we need many more, so please sign that. Say no to smart meters, that's also getting harder, because they are forcing us, but we need to stand up and say no now.
They're plaguing me every week.
Yes, an analog, like that's crazy. Analog meters are far more reliable, they keep far longer, they're safer. We also know now people with smart meters have been billed thousands of pounds for nothing. So, you know, be wise, because what we need is, instead of smart, which is stupid as I said, it's short-sighted, be wise, go wired, and talk to your politicians. We have an election coming up in this country now, because they need to dare stand up. I know they're pandering to the masses who think this is wonderful, because they're not told, but if we create awareness that this is not the humane way to go, we know how it's harming children mentally and soon physically. We're experimenting on children. They're like guinea pigs.
Definitely.
And these children are extra sensitive.
Like I say, you know.
It's assault. It's assault on the hypersensitive, on the children. It's assault on anyone, really.
It's coming.
And we need to think about what kind of future we want. I would like to see personally, and I know many people with me, a humane world where we have real connection, not connectivity, connection with the stars and the earth, with each other, with ourselves, because we are losing ourselves in these mirrors, smoke and mirrors.
Our antenna you spoke of, that's the pineal gland, I guess, isn't it? Yeah.
Pineal gland is essential.
Which gets furred up by various other things.
Yeah, it's calcified.
Yeah.
By
it's
various
like a multi-pronged attack on it.
And I'm not saying there's not other pollution. There obviously is. There's light pollution, as I say, which is also being ignored. But there's electrosmog is so important, and just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. Willie Johansson says if we could see Wi-Fi and all that, it would be black. We couldn't see anything because it's so dense around us. And this is only within the last 20 or 30 years. We're being experimented on. But it will only change if we wake up and take action ourselves on the grassroots level by ditching this, saying no to surveillance. I want safe connections, I want analog, and as I said, sign the petition, join global protest, 5G global protest for freedom, which is the next one. We had a lovely one with beach pictures, electrosmog-free beaches was the message. On Hypersensitivity Day, it was an International Electro-Hypersensitivity, same date. We had one in June, the next one is 21st to 22nd of September, coincides with equinox. And you're very welcome to join. Look up Global 5G Protest for Freedom. We have a Facebook group, but also Safe Tech International, and they can tell you more. And we need to all rise as one.